Greetings, agents. This is Private Boulders, the mediocre gamer, and this is the Division 2. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you taking the time to watch my content. If you find it helpful or useful at all, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel so that I can grow it and produce more videos. I hope you are doing well today. The topic of today's video is a rifle build paired with the UMBRA initiative gear set. I just wanted to call out where I got this build from, and it is by a really great content creator on YouTube who goes by the handle of Dispatch. He produces really high quality, in-depth, detailed and mathematical based Division 2 videos. I highly recommend that you check his channel out, as if you're a newer player, I'm pretty sure that you will find it helpful, as he has some really great insights and some suggestions. So thanks Dispatch, thanks for the build, thanks for your great videos. So as I mentioned, we're looking at UMBRA initiative and rifles. In TU22 update, both UMBRA and some rifles got some buffs. Not all the rifles, but some of them, as you can see there. The UMBRA initiative gear set got some pretty good buffs, so as a newer player you may not be familiar with UMBRA, or you may not have used it. I think it's probably a pretty good time to check it out, take advantage of these new buffs, as maybe it's being slept on a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just here to share this build with you. So as I mentioned, we're using the UMBRA initiative gear set. Running 4 pieces in the footage. I'm running the mask, the chest, the gloves and the holster. So 2 pieces give us 15% additional critical hit chance, which is always great. Getting additional critical hit chances are always a bonus. We also get 30% reload speed, which is great with a rifle. And then the talent from the shadows into the light. So while in cover, you gain 10 stacks per second, up to 50 stacks. Each stack will give 1.2% critical damage increase and 0.4% RPM. The buff does not apply while shooting from cover. And then the second part is, while you're out of cover, you lose 2 stacks per second at normal speed and 1 stack per second if sprinting. And then while out of cover and in combat, you gain 10 stacks per second up to 50. Each stack will give 0.8% armor regen when it is consumed. And stacks consume 10 stacks per second only in cover. So just remember that point there at the top, or towards the top there, the buff does not apply while shooting from cover. So once you've been in cover and you're at full stacks, make sure you jump out of cover to get those critical hit damage and RPM increase buffs to take effect. So whether or not you use a shield, or you're just standing behind cover but kind of peeking around the corner or something like that, but just remember, don't be in cover. So as I said, I'm running the chest, the UMBRA initiative chest, so that increases the stacks from 50 to 100, and it also increases the gain from 10 to 20. So basically that means that you only have to be in cover for 5 seconds to get 100 stacks. So once you're at 100 stacks, it's basically an additional 120% critical hit damage, and it's an increase of 40% to your RPM, which is going to help the rifle that you'll be using. And then once you're out of cover and in combat, it only takes 5 seconds to get to 100 stacks, which basically gives you 80% armor regen. So it's a pretty good build to actually take into combat, and it can be really effective if you're using it correctly. Now, in relation to the last two pieces that I'm using, the backpack, I'm using a Grupo backpack for the additional 13% critical hit damage. The talent I'm using is Unstoppable Force. So killing an enemy increases total weapon damage by 5% for 15 seconds, and that stacks up to 5 times. So we're looking at, at max stacks, we're looking at additional 25% weapon damage. You could also consider using Vigilance, so that increases total weapon damage by 25%. However, taking damage disables this buff for 4 seconds. The other one you could consider could be Companion. So while you are within 5 meters of an ally or a skill, total weapon damage is increased by 15%. So you pair that with a skill, maybe a turret or a shield, or even a decoy. As long as you're within 5 meters of it, you'll get that 15% damage increase. As far as minor attributes go, make sure that your critical hit chance is as close to 60% as possible. And then once it is, start speccing into critical hit damage so that your critical hit damage is as high as possible to take advantage of the UMBRA buff. For the final piece, I've gone with Fox's Prayers, the named Overlord Armaments knee pads. So Overlord Armaments, one piece gives us plus 10% rifle damage, which is the weapon we're using, and it also gives us up to plus 8% damage to targets out of cover, which is very handy as most of the things you're shooting at or engaging combat with will be out of cover. So that really helps. The specialization that I'm using is Gunner. So there's a few talents that we get with this that'll help us. So the 10% armor on kill, the 10% weapon handling, every third reload is 50% faster, and we get a 5% rate of fire increase for 5 seconds on kill. And just remember to make sure that your passive damage talent for the rifle is selected and maxed, so you're getting that 15% increased rifle damage. The weapon I am using is the Urban MDR in the footage. It's not a bad rifle. It has a fairly high RPM and it has a fairly decent mag size. So yeah, try and go with a rifle that does have a fairly high RPM, as the RPM bonus from UMBRA will definitely give you a boost. And yeah, go with something with a fairly high mag size as well, so that you're not kind of reloading as much. The minor attribute, try and spec it out to damage to targets out of cover if you can, as that will stack with the Fox's knee pads if you're running those. The talent I am running is Killer, so killing an enemy with a critical hit grants plus 70% critical hit damage for 10 seconds, so that will stack with the UMBRA buff. Another one you could consider is Boomerang, so critical hits have a 50% chance to return the bullet to the magazine. If a bullet is returned to the magazine, the next shot has a plus 40% increased damage. So that's also one to consider for that additional damage increase. Some of the skills that you could use with this would be something like the assault turret for some distraction and a little bit of extra damage, or the decoy for, once again, the distraction. You could also run a shield if you wanted to. And just a note on the stats there. My weapon damage is 215,000. My critical hit chance is almost 60%, and my critical hit damage is 128%. That's not including any buffs from UMBRA. Now, just a note in relation to UMBRA, there is a little bit of a bug with this at the moment. If you notice that you are in cover and you are not getting the stacks showing up in your HUD, what you need to do is just unequip one piece of your UMBRA and just replace it with something else. So for instance, just pick one piece, like it might be the mask, equip a different mask, and then escape out to the menu, or escape back out to the just your normal HUD, and then go back in and re-equip the in this case, the example I'm giving, re-equip the UMBRA mask, and then your stacks should then appear. So just to test that, just go into cover, and then make sure that you're getting those stacks increasing. You'll see the little green icon. You'll need to do that every time you fast travel, as I believe that the bug is related to the UMBRA gear set when you fast travel. So just take a moment to check that before you engage in combat. Otherwise, you're going to be not getting those bonuses. The other, just wanted to mention that the reason I chose to go with UMBRA and not another gear set like Aces and Aids, because Aces and Aids does give 15% rifle damage, and it also does give a headshot damage bonus. The reason I went with UMBRA is because I'm not great at landing headshots. So yeah, that's why I went with UMBRA. And just one last thing, with whatever rifle you choose to go with, put a weapon handling mod on there, and maybe a stability mod, because the rifles do tend to kick a little bit. So just to try and counteract that, pop a weapon handling mod on there, and maybe a stability mod, and see how you go. And maybe the other one or two mods, maybe critical hit chance or something like that, just to try and make sure that your crit hit chance is at close to 60 as possible. But that's the build. Once again, thanks to Dispatch for this build. What are your thoughts? Do you like this build? Is this something that you would consider running? Let me know in the comments, and good luck with it. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, agents. I really appreciate it. And until next time, you stay safe out there, and take care.